Timeless or trendy? Avoiding design fads in rustic, elegant homes. This home here is a perfect example of avoiding design fads. I'm going to go through some of what's going on, why this is so timeless, as well as design points that create this beauty and make it personalized. And I'm also going to talk, before we get started, about the journey. When people are building a home like this, they're generally thinking long-term. If you're thinking of doing a rustic, elegant timber home, your journey is probably going to take 2 or 3 times longer than what's in your head. Some of the reasons for that, the forever home mentality. Generally, you're building with perhaps a place to age in place. You might be thinking about extended family, Thanksgivings, Christmas events, family events, and even guest rooms, as well as balancing all that with other amenities that you might be wanting, and then of course the almighty dollar. All that has to balance out, and it's kind of a big flurry of questions and digging information, talking to experts, trying to get a design together. In this case, we're here in Seattle. I met Mark and Linda maybe 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago at a home show. A couple years later, they contacted me. They had this home drawn up, the footprint pretty much like it is, by an architect Mark uses for his business. He's a builder. And his wife was tickled when the plans were done. He said, okay, we can start. And Mark's like, not yet, honey, we got to fix this. This is just too much of a big box. And so that's what we started with. And some of the things that were done here, the gable was dropped down with the trim. And then back here with the porch, a lot of work went into this porch. You see how you've got kind of the 2 tall posts that set the tone for this porch. And then there's also a roof with another set of stone back here. So you're getting 3 pieces right there. And that creates a wide stance, kind of this balanced beauty. And while we're back here looking, I'd like to just point out why this particular home is so timeless in its style. One is the natural colors. They're always going to be in. If you go white, farmhouse white, that is going to be, of course, paint is easy to change, but like the farmhouse white and the farmhouse style, that's going to be dated. It's not a bad look, and you can enjoy it for many years, and there's easy ways to change that when the time comes. But this here, all the natural colors, the tones. You've got the nice heavy stone, the timbers, and then the wall with the tongue and groove siding, changes to shake in the gables, and the dark browns, somewhat monochromatic, just really blends well. And then the black trim and the black roof kind of gives it a little pop to set it off. So that's a little speaking to why it is timeless. Now let's talk a little bit more about design things. This front glass wall here, this could have been done with big beams with windows inset, but it's much smarter to use trim. And I know that can sound a little bit like nails on a chalkboard, set people's teeth on edge if you're a timber frame purist, but it really is the sensible thing to do. You're gonna get your weatherproofing, your waterproofing, your insulation factor. Everything's going to be easier that way. And it's about as much work to do trim as it is to just put big chunks of beam and frame that all in one fell swoop. But it's worth it. If you're thinking of that, now the wall set off like that, beautiful. That's really, really nice. And one thing the owner just pointed out to me, these trees right here, you might think they're kind of in the way, but actually it's really smart. In the wintertime, there's plenty of winter sun that gets in the building, but then in the summertime, there's shade, especially for those upper windows. We're facing west here. So that's really smart. And then the tree over here offsets it. And I don't know if 3 was intentional or not, but 3 is a good number in establishing a theme. 3, 5, 7, generally odd numbers work the best, but it's not a hard and fast rule. It's really it's an art when it comes to design that way. And then over here in the garage, if we back up just a little bit, you've got the gable that ties in with these. In fact, here, look at this, 4 gables. 1 is on the wall, so that rule I just gave you, that's how it is. Sometimes it goes like that. But we've got the gable up higher, which adds to the mass of this focal point. Then the sideshow over here, and then a supporting act over here, all blends, and the stone ties it together. We've got wood corbels holding roofs up to give that timber element from one side to the other, so it's kind of a whole unified, elegant, rustic home. That is not trendy, it is timeless, and it's going to be a look people appreciate for years and years and years. It just doesn't go old. Okay, a few more details for you. I'm going to show you two things here. One is, notice this caulking. It's real close to the window trim. You could have it the brown, but I think the window trim is the best because this is metal and it's not going to fade as much, so this will always kind of match. And then this wood shrinks like so. I mentioned this is trim. This is dried first, but it still takes a long time to actually get movement. And so you also want it for water. Notice up here where the two pieces of wood come together, they're the same color of caulking, and it looks good as long as you're not seeing a big ugly hole. Caulking isn't a sin as some people think, right? It really does, keeps water out, and it just, if you can stop holes in anything you're building, that's what is aggravating. Okay, and then also here, if we look up, you see the heavy corbel supporting the barge off this. This is all the way out, and then the matching piece here comes, and you can see that the joint here, this is just an exterior joint, so it wasn't glued, it wasn't made to look like a box beam. But the grain matches, you see that grain matches exactly, so it was cut out of one beam. A few more details over here at the garage. I just want to look at these corbels right here on the garage. They look, when you look just at the corbels and you move up closer, they look like they're big. Then you look at it, I mean, what is that? 7 foot tall, and if you look at the mass of everything above those corbels, if they're any smaller, this whole gable looks like it's gonna be top heavy and come down on your head. Another detail that I like here is this garage trim. Again, it's black like the fascia, and it goes from corbel to corbel with the keystone in it. So all of that combines, balance, solid, good. And here is a different style of corbel. It's got a sloped roof, and then the beam goes back there. And this roof doesn't serve any purpose as far as like function other than it created that beauty we were looking for, that 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here we are on the inside of this wonderful home. Some things just right off the top. We've got this big post sitting right here, centered here, just sets the tone for moving in. And I love this furniture arrangement right in the corner. It's a place where you kind of have a semi-private conversation while a bigger conversation is going on over here. And when you move in here, so this is kind of like just warm and welcoming. You see transitions. I'm seeing a beam here with a nice gentle curve as a transition to the dining room, and then up from the kitchen to the nook. And then also when you're in here, there's the big beam carrying all these trusses, delineating the space between the kitchen and the great room. And then this lot of room to flow, big island, open kitchen. If we're in here and we just look up, you can see that these trusses now feel about right. This wall here with the trees came out wonderful. And even the mantle, that also has a curve, just kind of playing off the whole theme. It's a nice kind of heavy mantle. Just another little element that really feels good to kind of keep tightening that theme and making it just right. And now I'll take you back to the nook, the breakfast area. Then we have a outdoor living area. This follows the same theme as the rest of the home, mainly because of the heavy knee braces. And you'll notice the ceiling is flat. And this is really a relatively inexpensive way to get kind of a rustic elegance without the cost of vaulting. Okay, so here we are on the inside. We're on the loft, and this is really open. We've got two sides that are open that share space with the great room. You can see the great room behind me. And one thing that I failed to mention at the start here was, as far as the elegance and the rustic and not overdoing it, not getting too much of a fad. One of the things Linda wanted was she wanted curves. And so that's one thing that we incorporated. It really softens the rustic beauty a lot. We'll get some pictures also where you can see this from below. And there are two different perspectives. These timbers look really big, right up next to them. but down below they feel about perfect. One of the things that we worked really hard with the design on was the doors here, they go out to the patio off of this hangout area, and then having this loft be as big as possible, the rail here. That's how the process unfolded there. So let's go downstairs. We're gonna take a closer look at the mantel. Okay, so the last thing I wanna point out here is a smaller detail. It's the mantel. And these can actually prove to be pretty challenging to get right. For however far it comes out, it means it's gotta be higher off the fireplace. And getting the right look, in this case, we wanted arches. So getting that look to look right in the context of where it's sitting, it can be challenging, but it's very rewarding, even though it's a lot of work to get the design right for a little bit of sawdust and wood. Okay, so it's all about just following that process, knowing when to stop, and staying loose. If you work with us, you're gonna see that we really emphasize planning and knowing yourself a lot, but at the same time, bottom line is you gotta stay loose and you have to enjoy the journey. And that's my final wish for you. Stay loose and have fun.